Hello, Screen Junkies. I am very excited today because I am sitting next to one Mr. Greg Grunberg, who is from literally everything, I think.
Oh, yes. I thought you were saying like where I was born.
Where were you born?
I'm from everywhere.
Everywhere, all
I'm in
places.
everyone's dreams and imaginations. That's so flattering when you say that. I'm from everything.
So true. I mean, Star Wars, Star Trek. Celebration was today, and they decided to rip our Star Wars loving hearts out with the tribute to Carrie Fisher, which you were in.
Yeah.
What is that for you?
There was a photo that I guess now I can share, and this was behind the scenes of on set with Carrie and Billy, her daughter, and you know, I went there, and not that I'm ever intimidated by any actor because I don't give a shit. I've done a lot of stuff, and everybody we're contemporaries, but this is something I grew up with. Carrie Fisher is somebody that I grew up with. I mean, I just idolized, and also Harrison Ford and all these people. And I find myself in a scene where I'm like driving the scene, Oscar and I are driving the scene, whatever, and we're all around. And then I have other moments that were cut out of the movie. My first moment on Star Wars was I got there, and outside of visiting and going to wardrobe and fitting my helmet, and I mean, it was crazy. So cool. Was meeting Carrie. And I had a scene with Carrie, and they did her side of it first, and the camera's here, and I'm right next to the lens, and she then walks off. We have a little argument, and she walks off towards me. Or she's like, don't let that happen again, snap, whatever, and she walks off. So she does her thing, and she walks right towards me, wraps her arm around me, grabs my ass. And I was like, hello, Carrie Fisher.
That is the only way I would want to meet her. I would want to meet her anyway.
Then JJ walks up and goes, welcome to Star Wars, my friend. And she continued that, that attitude of like, we're all in this together, and there's nothing here. She was and is. I mean, I'm going to carry the little time I had with her, and Billy's the same way. They're just wonderful people. She had such a spirit and life to her. I literally have so many stories in the short time that I was there, but we really clicked, I have to say, and I will forever remember that. This has been a really tough, weird, period. I mean, Carrie Fisher, who I really had a connection with. I'm not saying I was a good friend of hers, and by any means, but I really did connect with her and loved her for that time and for her career. And Don Rickles too is a guy that I worked with years and years ago. He played my grandfather in something called The Catch, which is a pilot that JJ and I did for ABC, and I got to spend time with him. A lot of time with him, and we became close. And it's just two incredible legends that had an energy to them, and made everyone else better around them on and off camera. And Carrie, to see that tribute, and also to just look back at that picture, it's just one of those things that I thought I was lucky before, and now knowing this tragedy that's happened, and we've lost, an absolute angel. It's just one of those things. I really do feel lucky. I really feel lucky that I got to even meet, but let alone work with someone like that.
Do you have other treasured memories from episode 7? Are you in episode 8? Are you?
I can't talk about that, but I can talk about how.
Was that not sneakily done?
That was sneakily done. Usually I'm like, I can't hear you. I got cans on. I can't when I'm doing radio. No. Every moment from episode 7, because I was with JJ, we were hanging out and having fun. But there are moments when, like, we were all around, and Oscar's like, snap, what happened? And I'm laying this out for everybody, and JJ Hill's cut, and he comes over to me, and goes, dude, you're watching the movie. Like, I was standing there, like, there's Harrison Ford, and oh my God, there's C-3PO and R2-D2. I mean, you can't help but have that moment, right? And then also flying an X-Wing, like, what are you talking about? Come on. That's what I did when I was a kid.
Yes.
I think that's why JJ was like, this is the role for you. I want you to do it. And, I was up there. It's on a gimbal. So it's like a bull riding thing, and there's somebody controlling it. You're 2 stories up. They've got green screen, and Oscar did it before me. He's up there, and I'm watching him do it. And he gets down, and he's not green and going to throw up, but he was like, dude, that was. And it really was. It was like they strap you in, they put the thing in, the cameras are in, and you're faking like you're doing. And I said all the lines. I said everything. I got your back, Poe, and is there any other speed? That's on the DVD. That got cut out. A great line when he goes, let's go to warp speed or whatever. And anyway. And then this is a great moment, they had a list of all these other things to say. Like, I did all the things I was supposed to say, threw in a ton of things that would never be used, but I wanted to amuse them in the editing room, make JJ laugh and whatever. And then they're like, okay, I've been hit. I'm going down. Like, these are things that we need you to say. And I'm like, nope. Like, come on, there's a list of things that all the pilots are saying. I'm like, it, they can say it. Let Jess say it. I'm not saying it. I'm not going to die. Are you kidding me? I'm not going to like give you the chance to kill me. No way. So I didn't say it. And it was on second unit. And they called over to JJ. He won't say those lines. And JJ was like, well, if he won't say it, he won't say it. Get him out of there. So it's the moments like that.
That's amazing.
And also like Harrison Ford is such a pro and so generous and so wonderful, and also cares about the epilepsy community in a huge way. He's got a family members like everybody does, who I don't remember. It's like a distant family. I don't remember exactly who it was, but he and I had great talks and stuff on set. And it's just, you're dealing with the biggest franchise ever. JJ had so much on his shoulders, as did that crew. These are the best in the business, and so JJ comes to set so prepared that he's kind of like an episode of Alias, he's just directing, having fun, and he's got it so well mapped out. He's one of those guys, It's just so brilliant, and so it makes everybody else feel at ease. Like, oh, he's got this.
It's a little bit hard to imagine in a way, because I think about the pressure that one feels in their really ordinary life, and then the idea of stepping into that. How does he not panic a little bit?
Well, I mean, look, he's like, I'm sure panics and has. I'm his best friend. We talk all the time, and he's like, I don't know if this is going to be crap or good or whatever. But when something is really locked in and great, I mean, there are those calls when he's like, I'm really feeling good about this. I mean, I don't want to jinx it, and that was one of those things. I mean, from the beginning to, he's in good hands too. I mean, Larry Kazan and Kathleen Kennedy. I mean, they and George Lucas was blessing, and these are characters that we loved so much. Look, he also did it twice. He brought a franchise back with Star Trek.
Yeah.
It was, I think, even more pressure for the hardcore fans. So this is what I'm experiencing when I'm out at Comic-Cons. I get these people that are serious Trekkies, and they're coming up to me saying, please thank your friend. Please, and on a personal note, thank him, because I'm able to share this now in a passionate way, just as I did with my dad. I'm able to share this now with my son. That to me as a father, I mean, that's when I know JJ really did it right, because he paid homage to these great characters, and at the same time, he also left some mystery for the future. And Star Wars, I mean, I remember sitting there watching, and then Han Solo dies, and I was in the screening room with, forget it. Like,
did you know how? Did they just show the little snippet? Yeah.
No, it was the last mixing session. I'm sitting there waiting for it to start, and in walks John Williams. And JJ's like, oh, John, this is Greg. And he was like, oh, snap Wexley. I'm like, oh, my God, he knows who I am. But we're sitting there, and I hadn't seen the movie. I hadn't read the script. No one did. They gave you your sides that day. They gave you your script or your scenes, not the script. So I only knew my stuff, and I didn't know it, from day to day. And they would have fake stuff, and who knows? Because there were drones above our set, above the...
Trying to get info, yeah.
They were shooting and stuff, and JJ had a drone that he flied around to kind of mislead them. What was he doing with the
drone? He had a misleading drone?
JJ's so smart. Like, he was sending out his own footage. Here's the thing also. The drones were like, there's the Millennium Falcon. Oh, well, we didn't discover that in 1978 or whatever the hell this thing started. People were excited to see any little bit.
Yeah.
We all had to go from our trailers to set in a car, and also with a black cloak around us. They didn't want anyone to know who was in the movie or what happened. So everything was secretive. And he had a drone that he was flying around and sending. He was doing videos and sending them to, I think, Chris Nolan. I think he was sending, because they were doing Batman, or he was doing Superman, Batman at the time, or whatever he was working on. They were sending videos back and forth to each other.
Wait, Chris, like secret videos? Well, that would have been...
Who was it that was...
Zack Snyder.
Oh, maybe it was Zack Snyder.
So he and Zack Snyder were sending secret footage videos to each other?
Not secret footage. If you can look it up. People can look it up online. There was footage that he was sending. Like, there was a video that JJ took, and then it ended under the Millennium Falcon, and in the Millennium Falcon was the tumbler from Batman. And it was so cool. Like, they digitally had it in there, and then Zach would send stuff back, and then Tom Hanks sent a video, and he sent it back. They're just doing this fun stuff that, like, it was like the elite problems. It's like, what's the video I should send Tom Hanks today? I'm like, I don't know. And they're just having fun. But for the fans, JJ was sneaking stuff out.
Yeah.
Also through Omaze and through the charity work that they were doing. They were sneaking videos and stuff. But everything was so top secret. I didn't know anything. And I'm sitting there, and the screening happens, and all of a sudden Han Solo dies. And I had a real visceral, emotional reaction to it. And I turned to JJ and I said, man, you're not around. I mean, this is how much we're best friends, but he kept this secret from everyone in his life until, the secret of the story of what was going to happen. And I thought that was brilliant. Brilliant. Whether, I hear stories of like, that's Harrison Ford asked for that, or JJ came up with it, or Larry, or whoever came up with whatever. To have, you need reaction. You can't just go right down the middle and give them what they expect, and that's it. And that's what I think the movie did. It introduced these amazing characters to us that we fell in love with even before the movie started. Marketing on it was beautiful.
Yeah.
And then, so we were familiar with them almost in the same way that we were familiar with, Mark Hamill and all these great actors. And then took us on a journey that was unexpected at times, and left you talking about it and missing. I mean, I got to say, that's one of the things that I just miss the most is Harrison Ford.
Yeah. From there, it seems like it would be hard having as passionate a love as he does for Star Wars, and then just do one and done and just leave. But
I know. And that guy, I mean, he could say whatever he wants about his age. He is ageless. He is timeless. That guy is, Harrison Ford is still Indiana Jones. He's still Han Solo. He still moves. Like he did when he was younger. He's the most, he's just so young. He's still so young. He's amazing. So I agree with you. It's hard. It's hard but I love these new characters.
I love these new characters too.
Yeah.
But JJ too, to then step away directorially from it.
Yeah, I think that was the plan. It's so all-consuming.
Yeah.
And JJ has so many stories to tell. Clearly, and you look at his breadth of work from Regarding Henry. We were sharing an apartment together when he wrote Forever Young and Regarding Henry and all these great things. He and Jill Mazursky started together with Taking Care of Business.
Regarding Henry.
Yeah, Regarding Henry was so good, and so you kind of look at it and go, well, he's not just this big, Mission Impossible. Like, what? He's done such amazing things. He's got, his own great stories to tell. And I think that's when you look at how all-consuming, he doesn't do things half-assed. You could see that with any of these guys. Favreau, Matt Reeves, Spielberg. They're just masters of their craft. And so you have to give it all. And when you do that, you have to put other things on hold. So I think going in, I don't know. I don't exactly know what the plan is, but I know he's producing. Yeah. Bad Robot's still producing the movie. So, and by the way, Brian Burke is a brilliant filmmaker. He's a genius, and he and I grew up together with JJ, and so he was running and he produced all the things, all the TV shows and everything. So
I will say this: Snap Wexley, who's your Star Wars character, has an incredibly rich biography. Have you delved into this?
Yes, but that was like after the fact. I show up in London. JJ's like, come to London. You're going to be in Star Wars. I got a great role for you. I'm like, cool. I don't know what it is. I get there. They're all having dinner, Chinese food. And I get to the restaurant. It's downstairs. And I walk downstars and I look and I see the cast and I see some people I recognize. And I'm like, oh. And there's JJ and Larry Kasdan and Kathleen Kennedy. I'm like, oh my God, what the hell am I doing? But he's my buddy. And, they're all such sweet people. And Kasdan yells out, there he is, there's Snap Wexley. And I'm like, what? Like, just the name, I thought that was cool. Now, having done the movie, and what they're so smart about is expanding all of these characters. So it's Tenement, Snap Wexley, and there's a history. I've got a love interest. My mom, they just introduced my mom.
In Rebels.
Mom
is in Rebels.
How cool is that?
So, well, really cool for you. It's like observationally, like vicariously cool for me.
Exactly. Well, we just shared makeup.
Yeah, we did.
I had to use your powder. I have a little
so I got a little piece of Snap as a result of that. Right. I feel like just a small, like a dollop of Snap.
You've got a little Snap on you, a little crackle pop. So the bad news is, though, when I go to these Comic-Cons, people expect me to know so much more about the world of, and I've got this show Geeking Out that I've been doing with Kevin Smith.
Yeah.
So between those two things.
My friend Tiffany.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh God, Tiffany Smith, I miss her so much.
She's
We're working on season two,
human.
and that's so. Hopefully, I'm going to be able to see her very soon again. I love her so much.
I do too.
Oh, she's so great. But anyway, that's one of those things that I bring to the geek shows and to stuff like this. I mean, I watch your show. It's like I was worried. I'm nervous. I'm like, oh, they're going to ask me too many detailed questions. It's intimidating.
About Star Wars?
About anything. The world.
We do have some questions.
No, I'm not answering those
Trivia.
questions. I'm doing the entrepreneurial side.
I'll do that one.
Yeah. Just because I'm a fan, as 90% of the fans are. Then you've got Tiffany Smith, Kevin Smith, the Smiths, Mr. and Mrs. Smith. They are as Kevin calls them, deep cuts. And you too, deep cuts. You know way too much about this stuff.
It's like a little frightening. Like maybe we want to get a life.
Dude, get out a little.
Yeah, get out.
Look up. See the sun.
It explains how pale.
Exactly. I was going to say, there's a bounce here. Can we fix? Oh, it's the host. I'm sorry.
I had no comeback for that because it was just absolutely true.
It's beautiful, pure skin.
Yeah,
that's what you have.
It's alabaster loveliness is what what I've learned to call
it. It's kabuki-esque.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I saw amazing kabuki in New York. I do want to hear about Dubai though, because you were hanging out with a prince, and I need to understand what that's like.
Several royal families. There's apparently a lot of royal family over there.
It seems like there's a lot of royalness.
But it's amazing. There are so many expats in Dubai because there's such an opportunity for business and growth and opportunity for jobs and stuff. So there's so many people. There are people that were like, "Hey, I live in West Hollywood. Where are you from?" I'm like, "What am I? I have to go to the other side of the world for this." It's the Middle East Film and Comic Con, and this guy Ben Caddy puts it on. It's amazing. They've asked me a few years to go. I haven't been able to go for my schedule. Now I go there, and the lines are like crazy. They're not as much of an autograph culture yet, but they're all about celebrity and cosplay and dressing up, and they're so passionate about their stuff. It was almost as good, if not. San Diego Comic-Con is pretty great. New York Comic-Con's amazing. This was top notch. 80,000 people, all passionate, sweet, nice. I was there with Liam from Game of Thrones and Kane, the wrestler Kane.
That is an interesting mix.
Yeah, and also Cass Anvar. You know Cass Anvar from The Expanse.
Oh yeah,
and from Strain. Yeah, Cass is amazing. So he and I hung out, and also Nick Marzak, who's a musician. He was there. It was a good mix.
I'm picturing this as one big panel, is what I'm hoping. I think probably not that.
Initially, you get there and they have a big panel for the press, and then we each have our individual panels. And then I had Kevin Smith there as well on Skype.
So I want to talk about this project that you're producing.
Yeah, it's a Kickstarter. It's a documentary that I'm so passionate about called Joyrider. So I did a movie called Big Ass Spider. Okay, and Big Ass Spider is just a classic. It's awesome. Mike Mendez did it, and I starred with Lombardo Boyard. If you haven't seen Big Ass Spider, do yourself a favor. See Big Ass Spider. It's so funny.
Right after you watch Felicity.
It was supposed to be called Mega Spider. It was on Sci-Fi, and I think now it's everywhere. You can on demand and everything. Re-released it, but anyway, it's called Big Ass Spider. And I star with Claire Kramer, who was in Bring It On and everything. And Claire brought me this documentary. She said, my friend Bianca Kylek, who is a big actress, she was on Rules of Engagement with David Spade and everything. She has a brother. By the way, her husband, Mike Catherwood, is from Loveline fame, and he now has a radio show with Dr. Drew. But anyway, Mike's a great guy, and she said, Bianca's great, but the real story here is her brother. I said, what? And Andre Kylek is one of the most inspiring people that I've ever seen or heard about in my life. He lost his legs in an accident in Prague, fell in front of a train, lost his legs, should have died, didn't. They didn't know whether he was going to be happy, what was going to happen to him, where he was going to find a place in life. And he decided that he was going to be an ultra athlete. The guy is a triathlete. Not a triathlete, but he's an Ironman. He's a hand cyclist. So he has his bike. He uses his arms to pedal. We're doing a Kickstarter right now. The guy is doing what's called the Race Across America. Able-legged people start in San Diego. You have to qualify for this race. You can't just do it. You're riding your bike for 12 days, 3,000 miles from San Diego to Maryland, across the United States in 12 days. That is riding for 15 hours, sleeping for an hour, and riding for 15 hours nonstop for that time until you get across the country. He's doing it without legs.
That's crazy. We
have to shoot this documentary. It's on Kickstarter right now. Go to Kickstarter, look up Joyrider. It is a passion project of mine. The story has to be told. We're going to follow him in Winnebago. We've got a crew, great crew. Pablo, our DP, is an Academy Award-winning DP. He's incredible. We're shooting all this great footage all along the way. I don't know how somebody finds the drive to do this. If you're able-legged, half the riders drop out of the race. He has promised us. He's like, I'm going to do it in 10, dude. which who knows? I find it. I'm calling it the donuts across America because I'm going to find every donut shop along the way, and he is pedaling across America.
So you're going to drive behind him.
With him, yeah, we're driving ahead of him. We're going to do all the local news across the way. We're working on a couple big sponsors right now.
I'm hoping the donut thing is true, though.
Well, that's the way I roll. So yeah, you can join us anywhere.
I will join for the donuts.
Yes,
I will
exactly.
not be doing the exercising.
There's some really great, Kickstarter perks on there. Not that is what should drive you, but this story needs to be told. Joyrider, please check it out. Watch the teaser; it will blow you away. We did a whole thing. We did a thing on Bianca and her love for her brother and why this story has to be told. And I'm just so honored to be a part of it. I'm so honored to be standing, side by side with Andre the whole way. And we joke. It's like with epilepsy. I say to Jake, "What do you want tonight for dinner?" He says, "Seizure salad." I'm like, "Hey, Andre, what perks should we?" He's like, "Well, maybe somebody could, ride their bike on this leg of the journey." I'm like, "Dude, you just said leg." I mean, he is the most inspiring, just incredible person. So is Bianca. Claire's great, and Brad Savage is also my producing partner. And we're doing this, and so we need your help. We need your help. We're at over 30 grand. We've only been up for a couple days, so we hopefully will reach 150 grand. Please donate what you can. Even small donations get a perk. Big donations are welcome too. But Joyrider on Kickstarter. Check it out.
Go to Kickstarter now. I Grew to Love You and Felicity.
Oh, nice.
And here's where you find out that this entire interview is a Felicity retrospective.
It is. Were you team Noel or team Ben? Or were you team Sean?
So, no, nobody was team Sean. Come on. Come on.
That's a dig right at me. We just shared makeup. When you share makeup with someone, it's kind of like making out.
But not for her.
That's true.
Sean had his own things happening. I was team Sean having his own life happening.
I think everyone was team Sean for, if people don't know, because you have a young audience.
Who don't know Felicity.
Exactly. I love that you say that. Felicity's back on Netflix, I believe, and it totally holds up.
Yeah.
Matt Reeves, JJ Abrams created that show. Carrie Russell starred in it before she was a spy with a gun.
Oh,
she
God,
was
the Americans.
The Americans. And it still holds up. I mean, it's a testament to great characters will forever last. They'll be evergreen. And it's like you can have a superhero. Like, this is why Marvel, I think, does things better than DC, is because they start with characters first, flawed, damaged characters, then give them a superpower. Felicity was amazingly written. It was sensitive. It was soft. It was fun. It was harsh. It was deep. It was like everybody could relate to it. And I played this guy who was way too old to be in college, and I wasn't in college. And so I begged and pleaded JJ and Matt to give me a role in the show. And I'm like, what about a guy who they live with off campus, who's a creative, business guy? So every week I had another
crazy cool, and which is. Well, I guess I'm going to be jumping the shark if we get into this too soon, but that's taken from not taken from your life, but that's art imitating life Very imitating good. Art.
Yeah.
Right?
And so JJ and I have known each other since we were 4 and 5, whatever. And I've always been very entrepreneurial, and we were sharing an apartment together, and I had these crazy business ideas. And every day he'd be like, "Oh, you gotta be kidding me. Really?" And then, later on with the advent of apps and things like that, I actually have done some of these things successfully and not so successfully or whatever. But yeah, it was taken from that. JJ was like, what if we do a character based on your energy and entrepreneurial spirit? And because you want to pull for him. You want him to be successful.
You do. And that's the thing is I think that it was we really are now doing a Felicity retrospective, which I am fine with.
Totally.
But I think it was such an important character on the show because there was a delicious teen angst quality to Felicity.
Yeah.
But then there was this lightness, in this space to have fun and feel joy.
I'm Mr. Levity. Yeah. That's what I do on these shows. Alias, Jennifer, Jen would run into a room with a gun. I'd run in with a calzone.
Yeah.
That was my thing.
Also very dangerous, though.
Right. It can be. Yeah. I'm like, all right, everyone's cholesterol is about to go through the roof if I don't get the information I need. I got carbs in the car. Don't make me use them.
That works especially well in Los Angeles when you're doing LA interrogation. Eat the calzone.
I'm desperately trying to lose weight right now. It's just a constant
Me too,
battle.
Always. I am Bridget Jones.
You're Bridget Jones. I'm Dom DeLuise. Anyway, so I said to somebody the other day.
Food is delicious, is the problem.
It's so good.
It's so good.
Carbs, too.
They're the best part of the food.
Although I'm doing a no carbs thing, which means I wake up and I just have bacon and a cheese omelet, and then I have a steak in it. I can do that.
Does that
too.
make it better?
It does. I mean, I miss the sweets.
Yeah.
It was my mom's birthday. Mom, well, she's not watching this. She's the one person not watching this.
Yeah,
Happy
everyone
birthday,
else
Mom.
is.
We had a birthday party for her last night, and you just have to skip the cake and all that stuff. It sucks.
Yeah.
But somebody said to me, they're like, hey, you look like you're losing all the weight. I'm like, yeah, I'm on a no-carb diet. And they thought I said no car because it's L.A., and I was like, that's the best diet to
So
be
you
on.
actually have to walk everywhere?
Yeah, I live out in the valley, and I'm
have to
in
walk all
Beverly
the way
Hills now.
here.
It's like, man, this no-carb diet is killing me.
But I am losing a ton of weight.
Exactly. I have to get roller skates or something. What the hell?
Oh my God. You know what? Okay, this will be my final thought on Felicity. I swear to God.
No, it won't. No, it won't.
Probably not. But what I love about Felicity in that last season is the fact that I feel like that's where you really saw JJ start to become JJ in a whole different way, because he was like, screw it. The thing that you never thought would actually happen, the Wiccan has power. We're going to reset time.
Okay, but so what happened was they brought a new show onto the WB at that time.
Yeah, I remember,
remember? And that show failed. So then they called back and they were like, Matt, JJ, we need more episodes. And that's where JJ said, okay, well, you then. Everybody else on this network has a power. We've got, a witch and a warlock and this and that. We always joke that Ben was a warlock.
Yeah.
So going back in time, remember those weird episodes?
Makes so much sense.
It made sense. They were like, okay, let's give them what they want. If this is the only thing, if this is the sort of identity of the network, and they did. I mean, he didn't say you. JJ was creatively and Matt going, this could be a good idea. If we only have a finite number of episodes, let's write this sort of fantasy thing we've always dreamt of. Because remember, on Felicity, we also did Twilight Zone episodes. Yeah. And it got weird. It got weird and creative and cool. Yeah. Which those two guys are so brilliant.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. So. I mean, everything truly, like, everything is sort of amazing. But I did start with Felicity, and I love Felicity. And I think it's like, if you love JJ Abrams, you should, if you have not enjoyed Felicity, go to Netflix right now and enjoy it. It's such a great show.
Really good.
You guys were roommates, as you mentioned, and I just have to know, like, who was the Oscar? Did he do dishes? Was there a Felix? Like, what were the roommate fights
JJ
about?
was born with an assistant and a team of people. Okay, when he was 5, he had a driver and no, I'm kidding.
It feels very much like that might be true.
Not true at all. We both grew up, middle class, upper middle class. I mean, we had nice upbringings with beautiful families, both of us. But we were both creative. He was obviously so much more creative than me, and we were. But I mean, as an actor, I was always the performer. He's a performer too. I mean, he's an actor. If you look at what's that movie, 6 Degrees of Separation? Yeah. He's acting in that movie. And in that movie, he says, I think that's the movie, right? With Will Smith? Is that
6 Degrees of Separation. Based on the play, yeah.
Right, based on the play. There's a scene where they're all sitting around, they're trying to figure out who this Will Smith's character is. He's been conning all their parents, and they're at private school, and they're sitting around. And every single take of this one moment, JJ said, they were looking at the yearbook, and he was like, you guys remember a guy named Greg Grunberg? And if you watch the movie again, you see that he does that. And I remember him driving home from set that day, and he was like, I can't believe I got away with it. I said it every single time. And at the same time, he was writing and everything. And our dreams have always been, our dream is to work together. So that's been sort of the thing. When you're working with your best friend, he's like my brother, we have such a great time. Obviously, he's so brilliant. When we were 9, 10, 11, he was making these 16 millimeter or, these Super 8 movies. Yeah. And I was starring in them as a little kid.
Which, by the way, is crazy when you think about it. You hear those stories, and then I think about what I was doing when I was 9 or 10, and it's so much less ambitious than that.
But that was the sort of yin and yang. I mean, JJ was that ambitious and that creative, and I was like, can I be a goofball in this? And he's like, well, you might as well be in this one too. Let's do it. Fake commercials and little horror movies. There's a movie called The Attic, which was great, where we didn't know we had an attic. JJ was on Jimmy Kimmel, and they showed a clip of it, and Kimmel was like, is that Grunny? What is that? Is that a little version of Greg Grunberg? And that's what happened growing up. That was my, we would leave school, walk to his house, and do these fun movies. And to be doing the same thing now, I mean, I left the nest for a while and did Heroes and other things, but I will do anything to work with my best friend, not just because it's JJ and he's doing these incredible things. He's just the best person that I have in my life, besides my wife and my kids and my family, and you. And,
me now.
And you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And all of you, I see
and I met
you.
there was that Uber guy.
He was so nice.
He was so sweet.
I know.
I wish you would have stopped talking about Felicity, but really nice guy. Great guy.
I don't know. That's kind of why I liked him.
That's true.
That's me. I don't know.
He was uber special.
Yeah. You work with the Epilepsy Foundation and launched the platform talkaboutit.org. Let's talk about the origin of that.
Yeah, I mean, talkaboutit.org got started, well, because first of all, my son has epilepsy. So Jake, our oldest son, he's 20 now. He's doing great, and thanks to great medication, whatever. But yeah, I started talkaboutit.org because seizures are really scary. They're misunderstood. There's such a stigma attached to it. And all I kept hearing through this journey when he started having seizures at 7, my wife and I, Elizabeth and I, kept hearing, God, if we just talked about this, people wouldn't be so scared. If we just talked about it. So I started talkaboutit.org because I'm like, what can I do as a parent to help this cause and help these people? I'm not a doctor. I want to get the word out. And so I enlisted the help of every celebrity. If people go to talkaboutit.org, there'll be a link, I'm sure, somewhere. Thank you at the bottom. Look, it's right there. See, there it is. But anyway, click on the link, go to talkaboutit.org, learn something about seizures and epilepsy, because 3 to 5 million people in the U.S. alone, and then friends and family, it's like 20 million people, sorry. I'm not a great mathematician, that are affected by this in some way. So you should know what to do when someone has a seizure. You never stick anything in their mouth. You turn them on their side. You call for help after a minute and a half, 2 minutes. Let them have their seizure. Don't hold them tight. There's certain things, basic things. But Jake's an example of someone living well with epilepsy. And now we're doing our second annual Netathon for epilepsy coming up May 6th, which is so cool. It's 8 hours straight. It's sort of my Jerry Lewis telethon, but on the net. So we're calling it a Netathon.
And nicer.
You said it, not me. But we raised over $250,000 last year. We're going to well exceed that this year. We're on Twitch. We're on, the biggest thing was we made a deal with CBS. CBSlocal.com/epilepsy.
We'll do this.
Is where you can find us, plus epilepsy.com/Hollywood. Either way, there can be a bunch of different places, but CBS is carrying us across every one of their digital platforms for those 8 hours. And we've got bands and comedians and magicians and doctors and patients and people, but it's a proper sort of telethon, Netathon thing, and it's going to be great. DJ Hoppa and I are hosting it together. He's incredible. He has epilepsy, which is interesting for a big DJ who goes to clubs and does concerts
because of the
stuff.
lights.
Yeah, and also at night, epilepsy, you can have seizures if you're sleep deprived or you're stressed out or whatever, and or light sensitive. So video games can do it, lights in clubs can do it. I remember when we were shooting Alias, there was a lot of scenes in clubs and stuff, and our script supervisor Dawn, she had a seizure.
Oh God, yeah. It's funny. Not funny, but it's interesting
You find it funny?
I don't. My mother's epileptic, and my aunt, and
oh my God, so you're allowed to find it funny.
So I can't find it funny.
Jokes. Let's talk about it.
Let's joke about epilepsy.
Exactly.
So I remember, and I had it
it's
as
on
a
Twitch.
baby.
How ironic is that?
And I've been scared whenever strobes are going off. I'm scared that, not scared, but there's a piece of me that thinks, because I had it as a baby, that latently I always look away when there are strobes.
You had seizures as a baby?
Yeah, but they were really weird seizures. This is a whole thing. They were really weird.
You didn't have epilepsy.
I didn't have epilepsy. It was like this weird version of seizures, but my mom had grand mal seizures. My aunt had grand mal seizures.
Okay. So here's a couple things to keep you.
Tell me.
So grand mal.
Yeah.
If you look, what does that mean? Let's translate those words. The big evil.
Yes.
So we don't use that term anymore.
Oh, we don't. I didn't actually know that that's what that meant.
Yeah.
I did not know that. That's awful.
The big evil.
Yeah.
And it's because they thought people were possessed.
I know. Back in witch. But
not even witch days. Like, it's crazy. I just got back from Dubai. I went to India. You have seizures in some of these countries that are not third world countries, but they're parts of them and they just get cast away, get put in a home, it's like, what are you talking about? You can have seizures. My son's an example. They live a perfectly normal life. There's people at your office here for sure that have epilepsy, and they have the right medication. They see the right doctor. I want to just mention the Netathon. Without Synovian, which is this great pharmaceutical company, we could never, ever, ever put on this Netathon. It's companies like that and the other people that are sponsoring us. It's incredible to see how desperate this community needs for someone to bring them together. The Epilepsy Foundation of America benefits obviously from it. I've partnered with them. So talk about it. May 6th, the Epilepsy Net-a-thon. Please check us out. Donate what you can, but educate yourself at talkaboutit.org or epilepsy.com.
Yeah, this is great. It's interesting because having grown up with this just being a part of our reality, I never really thought that there was like the existing stigma, but you bring up a great point, which is that all over the world is maybe a different story than in my tiny little granular reality.
Yeah, I mean, you're young. I'm a lot older than you.
I'm
but back
very
when
young.
No, you are. And so when you were a kid, though, some parents don't talk about it because it's misunderstood.
Yeah.
But the more you talk about it, if a coach or a teacher, and I don't care what you have, if you have asthma, if you're allergic to something, whatever it is, talk about it so that people around you know what the hell to do if you have some kind of an episode. So that's what Synovian and I, we're doing this together with the Epilepsy Foundation. And it's just, again, the conversation. Are we going to raise enough money to make a real difference? Probably not. But we're certainly going to get the word out. If we raise $500,000, I would be thrilled. Foundation will be thrilled. But more than that, getting rock and roll. Michael Chiklis did he just rock the house. We have this amazing band. From In Excess to Smash Mouth to guys from all these bands. Morrissey's guitar player, Alan.
I thought you were going to say Morrissey. I'm like, he's coming out.
Well, no, we've got some pretty amazing people. I got Adam Savage doing stuff. I'm working with Duff Goldman from Ace of Cakes. He's got a band called Foie Rock. They're going to come play. Band from TV, my band, with Adrian Pazdar and Scott Grimes and Jesse Spencer and Hugh Laurie and all these guys. We're all, James Denton. We're playing. So it's a bunch of celebrities coming out to support this cause, but we've got everybody. We see the Net-a-thon, you'll be like, oh my God, there's Jason Bateman, there's Bradley Cooper, there's blah, blah, blah. They're all really good friends from various projects. You say I've been in everything.
It's true.
And I rope everybody into these things that I'm doing.
It's a good thing to rope people into. So you were in Dubai for this, yes? Because we were briefly talking about that.
No, I was in Dubai for Middle East Film and Comic-Con.
Can I learn everything about that? I was at Brazil Comic-Con.
Brazil Comic-Con. I've been invited to Brazil Comic-Con.
I highly recommend it.
Look, when you're in Star Wars and Star Trek,
yes,
that I've been. Thank you, JJ, for putting me in those two things, and I've been able to,
Who else can say that?
Simon Pegg.
Yeah, but that's it.
Deep Roy can say that, but he was also in makeup. He's a little guy. He's in makeup. There's no such thing as little parts in movies. I'll tell you right now. Deep Roy is a perfect example. He's a big character. But Simon was like, hey, man, I've been in both. I'm like, no, dude. You've been in Star Trek, and then you were in a lot of prosthetics. I'm sort of the only guy that's crossed over with my face so far. And so,
did you fight it out? Was it a good fight?
Yeah, Simon and I. Well, he wrote Star Trek Beyond, so I was like, whatever you say, dude. As long as. And by the way, he listened to me. We didn't have a name for my character. For those that don't know, I play Commander Finnegan, and so I'm protecting Yorktown and this whole thing. And he was like, "What's the name of your character? We need a name for your character." And I said, "What about Finnegan?" Because if people remember the Star Trek TV series, Finnegan was this Irish guy that went toe to toe with Kirk, and they boxed and stuff. And it was just like, what a great character to say, I'm older than him, but I went to the academy at the same time he did. We didn't get along then, and now. So it was just perfect.
Let's talk about what you have coming up creatively.
Yeah, let's do that. So this is a graphic novel that I created and I wrote with Lucas Turnblom, who's a brilliant award-winning illustrator and great writer. This is interesting. So Dream Jumper started, my son Ben was 12, and he had a nightmare. He woke up, and I was trying to put him to sleep. And I was like, why don't you tell me what it was? He was so distraught. He was like, it was so real. It was so, I could feel it. I said, okay, what was it? He goes, it wasn't even like my dream. It was my friend's dreams. And I said, what do you mean? He goes, I felt like I was a superhero. I'm still my age, like a 12-year-old superhero. And I was able to jump in and out of my friends' dreams and save them from their worst nightmares. And I was like, what? And I'm like Harry Potter kind of thing? And he's like, yeah, you know how Harry Potter goes into, and this is the way I remember it. You talk to Ben, he's like, no, dude, what are you talking about? Dad, that's not the way I remember it. The way I said, he was half asleep, but this is the story. This is what came out of his dream, and it inspired this book, and that's exactly what this is. It's about a kid named Ben who goes into the dream world. When we go to sleep, And why do people sleepwalk? Who's controlling us when we're sleepwalking? Are there evil powers when we're sleeping that are trying to control us? What is the responsibility of somebody who now has the ability to go into the sleep world back and forth? Why was he selected? There's a whole family history of dream jumpers that he didn't know he was a part of. It's really cool. This is book 1 called Nightmare Escape. Book 2 is coming out in September. This is Scholastic, so it's in every book fair and doing really, really well. I'm so proud of it. Sold it to Paramount. We're trying to make their idea is to make a movie series out of this.
A movie?
Yeah. So we'll see what happens. But it was exciting to sell it even before it came out. To know that there are kids out there. I'm signing books at these Comic-Cons. And graphic novels are something that I dabbled in as far as reading was.
Yeah.
I didn't know I was going to write a graphic novel, but it's really something that creatively, I'm not an actor who attached his name to a graphic novel. I wrote this with Lucas. Lucas is a brilliant. I mean, we'll bring up some of the artwork in greater detail, but you can just see the illustrations are gorgeous, and I'm really proud of it. So
that's a very cool story.
Yeah.
But it's one of those things too with graphic novels. I'm always like, it could be a great series though, because graphic novels are inherently built, I think, towards series. They've been trying to develop Sandman forever and Why the Last Man, but I don't know. But you like the idea of a movie.
It's a visual, visual medium. When you look at it, it's kind of the storyboards for what it's, some directors will do detailed storyboards that essentially are graphic novels. There are those images. When we did Heroes was all about, comic books and art imitating life and or not even imitating, but how they used comic books in that way. Jeff Loeb and Tim Kring were so brilliant with that, Jesse Alexander. But when I started working on this, first I brought the idea to JJ, and I'm like, dude, this is a TV show. This is a great TV show. This is a great movie series. And he was like, that's a graphic novel. Write the graphic novel. And we spent a year together, Lucas and I, writing Dream Jumper. And JJ was absolutely right, because when you own the IP, when you write something like this, now you can say, okay, people can really see it. And it's something that has a following already. All these kids you can't wait for book 2, which is great. And now we're working on book 3. So it's, it's exciting.
Actually, I have one more JJ question, which is that do you get mystery boxes for your birthday? Because that's what, did he leave them around when you were roommates?
No, he didn't. But how brilliant is that?
Yeah.
A mystery box. It all started really, I'm sure you heard the story he did a TED Talk on it. Where his grandfather gave him, or his grandfather took him to Ned Tannen's, I think it was called Ned Tannen's magic shop. And they have this mystery box. They have this box where you don't know what's inside it. And you shake it, and you hold it, and whatever. And he then said, a theater is a mystery box. So brilliant. I mean, the analogy of that, it's just like, yeah, it is. And that's true.
Yeah.
Because the more secrets are held outside, when you go into that theater, you're inside this mystery box, and there's just all this incredible stuff being thrown at you. And that's what JJ does so brilliantly, and I think great filmmakers do too, is they don't give it all up. Like when you see a trailer that's got everything in it.
So disappointing.
It is.
But they don't even control that anymore. I mean, JJ, I'm sure, has approval on the marketing, but a lot of them don't. And I think that's probably really hard.
I did a movie that I wrote called Group Sex. Don't Google
and
that.
they gave away everything.
Well,
in
the marketing, because it was a low budget thing, and Big Ass Spider can't give away everything because it's all about Lombardo Boyard and I improvising through the whole movie, and Claire Kramer and us having fun, and so I think you're right. But and even to a certain extent, even these huge filmmakers, you're right. It's the marketing department, but the marketing department saves movies many more times than they ruin a movie.
Yeah.
They're so brilliant in how they tease it out. And so let's take the positive side of that is there's a mystery box, and they'll let you sneak a look. That's what trailers are all about, right? Yeah. Just enough so that you go, so I think they're doing that brilliantly now with the Star Wars franchise.
Oh, yeah. But then you have people like us where our entire career is built on see that frame? Here's what we think.
I know, exactly. Well, I'm doing the same thing with Geeking Out. I mean, Kevin Smith and I get into fights about this. I'm like, that means this. He's like, no, it can't mean that, dude. There's no way. No way. And so it's one of those things, where we debate. Tiffany Smith, I mean, we go back and forth on it. Most of that stuff doesn't even make it onto our show. You just spend time going. That's where I think the geek culture really started for us when we were kids is, did you watch something and leave it in the theater or leave it on the TV?
Or continue that conversation
and into a way that it was almost fan fiction just in conversation.
Yeah, exactly. And I think that's actually the fun part of it for me, is like, because you're making up a story which probably isn't true. I have a whole Snoke theory. I'll tell you later. Yeah, it's pretty good. It's pretty good.
But people are taking fan fiction to another level now. There are writers, Alice Clayton. I don't know if you read her stuff, but she had Wallbanger is this book that she wrote. She's hilarious. It's total, like, Shades of Grey type writing, right? She's a good friend of mine, and she wrote, but she watched Shades of Grey, and she was inspired by Twilight, so she watched Twilight, and I think Twilight was a fan fiction originally.
Well, no, 50 Shades of Grey was fan fiction based on Twilight.
Okay,
yeah,
and then Alice was influenced by that, and she wrote Wallbanger, and now she's got another shit, and
What's
it's all about and all that stuff, but it's sexy, and it's like the romance novels of today.
By the way, I'm super sold on this.
Oh, you got it. Yeah. By the way, you should have Alice on the show.
I'm 100% sold.
Oh my gosh, she's
I'm gonna
hilarious.
read it tonight.
Yeah, exactly. Wallbanger, and then we'll share makeup.
Yeah. Well, we already shared the makeup.
That's true. I'm talking about body makeup.
Okay, fair enough.
I slather myself in
First,
body
I read
makeup.
that. So, is it sexy or is it funny? Is it riffing on the genre or
no?
both?
Both. It's pretty sexy. My wife loves. She loved that book.
Literally, I'm not coming into work tomorrow.
I did not come here to plug someone else's book. This is for kids. Wallbanger is not for kids.
I'm interested in Wallbanger. That's all I'm hearing. We had this whole game for you.
Oh, yeah.
But I don't even know if we can do this game anymore.
Let's do the game and use it in another episode. Come on, I'm here.
Okay, so this is people tweeted in because you're an entrepreneur, business ideas.
Very much so.
And you have to tell us if they're any good.
Okay.
So this is Raul Rodriguez Vader. And he
Vader.
Yes.
Raul Rodriguez Vader.
That's correct.
When we were taking roll call before going to kill the Death Star, I don't remember hearing that name, but okay. Yeah, that's good.
And he suggests an app type Shazam that gives you all of the trivia and movie references as you watch a new movie or TV show. But then you'd have it in the theater.
Well, there was a website which was, remember, if you saw, there have been a few where it's like the nude guy who'll tell you the best timing in movies to see nude. You have the
best advice for media.
Yeah, Mr. what? Mr. Skin. Yeah, when Mr. Skin did that. I don't know if he had an app. There's also a thing that tells you exactly when in a movie that you can go to the bathroom and come back. You're not going to miss anything. That's a good idea. I don't think that's a bad idea.
So we also have from Ronnie Williams.
Bring it on. I want to see all these. I want to hear all these.
He says, Uber for your pets, and picks the pets up, takes them to the vet, the groomers, the pet hotel, you name it.
Yeah, I think if you have Uber for your pet, you shouldn't have a pet.
Yeah, I think so. It scares me. I feel like I don't trust anybody just taking my pet around.
Yeah, I mean, you might as well say, let's have like Oakwood Apartments for pets.
Yeah.
Long-term living for pets.
For pets.
Like, I own the pet. I have like 4 pets over at the Hilton Hotel today. I mean, if you're going to own a pet, love your pet. I love my pet.
So you boarded 100. What pet
I just
do you
rescued
have?
a dog from the streets of
dog?
Thailand, guys.
You brought the dog from Thailand?
No, this group does. They rescue dogs from overseas, Thailand being one of them, and it's called Life Animal Rescue. I might as well give them a plug. They're amazing. So it's all about rescue. Don't get puppies.
Don't.
Rescue. I'm not Betty White here. I'm not Bob Barker, but I love dogs and cats and pets so much, and don't get a puppy. All right, next question.
I will always rescue. My last pet literally came from the streets of downtown Los Angeles.
Wow.
Yeah, she was wandering around. Here's from Andrew Franklin, a device that changes every line of dialogue in a movie to be in Gilbert Gottfried's voice.
Luke, am I your father? I mean, that's a little obnoxious. I think we can take Gilbert Gottfried in
small
bites.
doses.
Yeah, small doses. I think a little goes a long way.
What if it was just randomized and you never knew which line of dialogue?
That's hilarious. It's like pulling a jackpot.
Yeah, exactly. And like 5 lines somewhere in the movie.
Oh
will
my
be
God.
I'll have what she's having.
Here's the thing about that. Like, I like it with turn-by-turn directions. I would love to change over to Gilbert Gottfried.
Make a left, a left, a left.
I mean, that would be hilarious.
Did you do the Terminator one when that was available?
Oh, no.
Yeah, Schwarzenegger run ways for a period of time.
Wow.
Yeah.
Oh, that's good. That would be really good.
Great.
But knowing you could turn it off.
Yeah.
And Gilbert Gottfried, the same thing. Good idea. Not a sustainable business.
Those were the only ones that
What?
we had. Yeah, that we deemed by, I'm deducing by the highlights that
Read
we
one of them
deemed
that's not highlighted.
that we
Just any of them.
unhighlighted. Okay, here we go. This is from Jason Abraham.
Okay.
He says, #movie idea. A man received a newspaper from 2 days in the future. I think that was a TV show. Was that not a TV show?
Yes, it was.
What if you knew, beyond a doubt, what was going to happen tomorrow? What would you do?
Yeah, by the way, Heroes.
Can you copyright mind reading in a movie?
No.
Can you imagine somebody trying to sue? I had that idea.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I was just going to say is imagine the year that Heroes came out. You were like pitching, I got an idea for this indestructible cheerleader.
Yeah.
It's so cool. Like you can't break her. Like her arm twists and her head comes off. Then she gets it back on. And then...
Is Trump pitching it? Because it sounds
it's an amazing... Absolutely. It's big
she's
league.
the best cheerleader.
But then also somebody pitching a cop who can read minds. And another guy saying, oh, how about this menial job guy who can go into the future and back. And then all of a sudden Tim Crane comes in with an idea that encompasses all of that.
Yeah, and then suddenly
he
you're gonna
wiped
get
out
sued.
so many of those,
Ideas.
Look, I will not quell or squash anybody's idea. Who was it?
This was Jason Abraham.
Jason, first of
Yeah.
all, you need to change your name from Abrahams to Abrams. I'm just saying that it's worked for a friend of mine. But here's the thing. Take that idea. That's a seed of an idea. Take 3 other ideas that you have and write one movie.
It was from JJ is the truth.
Oh, that was from
Actually,
JJ?
Kim
Great
Carrie.
idea. If I can play the guy, I think it's a winner. But, ideas are just ideas are just ideas. Do it. Don't stop. I speak in front of colleges and mainly theater programs and hundreds of people, and I tell them the same thing. If you're interested in getting into this business, whether it's hosting or writing or creating or acting or whatever, just know this. No, you will never, ever, ever be successful ever, ever, ever in what you want to do. It's never going to happen. You're never going to make money at it. It's never going to happen. If you get past that, you're going to be wildly successful because that's all you're going to hear. Everybody wants to say no. Everybody wants to push you out of the way. And if you are standing in line long enough, you're going to get better at what you do. And when that door opens, you're going to be ready. So I say to this guy, great idea. Don't talk about it anymore. Write it.
I love it.
Write it.
Love it.
And then you'll blood, sweat, and tears for a year. You'll work on a book like this, and then we know that that's already been done. So you walk into a studio, and they'll be like, "God, I love your script. It's already been done, dude. Early edition. Look it up." But it might open other doors. Who
Yeah.
knows?
I love it. So people can follow you. Do you like people to talk to you on the social medias?
Yes, I have a.
That's actually great advice, honestly.
Right.
It is great advice.
It's the advice I give everyone.
Well-
and the advice that JJ's always given me is, I don't want to hear it. I'm like, oh, I have a great idea. He's like, I don't want to hear it. Do it. I'm like, but it's a script. He's like, I don't want to hear it. The energy that you are the excitement you have right now to tell me this idea is what will carry you from page 1 till when you type the end. Do it. Then I'll read it. And it's so true. You got to admit that if you have a creative idea and you find a friend, you're like, hey, dude, what do you think of this idea? And once you tell them and they say, oh, it's a great idea.
The energy depletes.
Yeah, you're like,
So true.
yeah. And some things take longer than others. Some are great ideas, some are not. I mean, you should share it so that somebody can say what you just said, which is, this has already been done. But at the same time, if you have that, no one's going to pay you for your idea unless you're of a certain level in this business. So take the energy and the excitement and let that drive you and do it. Everybody talks. Not a lot of people do.
That's also really good. That's really true. Once you share it to a number of people, you're sort of over it. You feel like you did it, but you did nothing. You just talked a bunch.
And then all you get is people going, hey, what happened to that idea that you told me about?
And
I mean, how many
like,
times have you heard that? For me, I have an audition, like even a huge audition. I won't share it with anybody. I stopped that years ago because, I don't want to go to a family function and have Aunt Phyllis going, hey, whatever happened to that thing? You had a big meeting with a big muck-a-muck? What happened there? I'm like, first of all, why do you sound like that all of a sudden?
I don't know. Phyllis should be pretty impressed with you at this point, I would think.
Phyllis is a big supporter.
Yeah.
No, Aunt Phyllis, Uncle
I've heard
Joel.
good things.
They're big supporters. But
Yeah.
I'm just saying, like, if you mention stuff to people and then they bring it back to haunt you.
They do.
So do it so that you
Yeah.
can say, oh, yeah, very proud of that. I moved on to something else. But don't just have ideas. Do stuff.
All right. How can people connect with you? Do you want them to talk to you
I'm
on?
a very private person.
Okay, fair
I only
enough.
have 1.5 million people follow me on Twitter, and I love every one of them. They're all my friends. Twitter is the best place for me.
For you, do you like Twitter better than the Instagram?
I like
This is
Instagram.
sponsored by Twitter, so that helps us.
Oh, good. Okay, yeah. Twitter. I love Twitter. I was a very early adopter on Twitter. So yeah, at Greg Grunberg on Twitter, or the link is somewhere here. And can I just really thank you guys for having me on? I really, really appreciate it because I got to talk about epilepsy, which is near and dear to my heart, and everything that I care about. But mainly, like having that conversation and forgetting that you had seizures as a kid. It's important. It's one of those things that, you guys talk about some really cool stuff all the time. You have cool guests, but I appreciate you giving me that time.
No, thank you so much for coming in. This has been so wonderful. Legitimately lovely conversation.
Thank you.
You are a wealth of good advice, and I'm going to take it.
Thank you.
I really am.
Kickstarter, guys.
Not gonna
Kickstarter.
tell- Nobody's going to hear my ideas anymore, except the ones that are paying me to give them during the day.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Kickstarter. Do it, do it, do it, do it, do it.
Joy Rider.
And we hope you'll come back.
I will come back anytime.
Click here for more awesome Screen Junkies news and click the logo to subscribe.